Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back once again to JJ's PC Builds. You know it is JJ with you once again. And if it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do. Help and support the channel. Today, we're going to have a look at the 5700X3D. I didn't get that processor myself. Let me take a look over here in my little arsenal. But I did get the 5600X3D. Okay, right here. So I know the performance of the 5600X3D. I didn't get the 5700X3D because for $250, this is what put me for a tailspin with it really quick. I'm just going to break this down. I'm going to put the price in front. Okay. So with the 5700X3D, you had a price point of $250. Okay, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, well, the 5700X3D is, because the 5600X3D was $229 at Micro Center, and that's the only place you could really get. And don't forget your drink and snacks, by the way. Now, the 5700X3D is at a price point of $249. I just say $250. Okay. Well, I should have said the 5600X3D at $230. I should have said the 5700X3D at $250. So that's $20 difference between the two. Now, and do remember the 5600X3D and the 5700X3D are actually broken GPUs that were sent back to the company, and they refurbished them and they're sending them back out to everybody. So don't really think that you're getting brand new, because you're not. It's not really a brand new thing. But moving on, my point is this. The 5800X3D is $309. So for $50 to $59 more, you can get yourself, the top of the line for the AM4 series on, the X3D chips, which would be the 5800X3D. For $50 price difference, you're getting better performance for $50 more. I would go with the 5800X3D. But today we're going to be talking about the 5700X3D. I pulled up two different sites about it. I was matching the performance of my 5600X3D and with their benchmark performance with the 5600X3D, and it seems to be spot on. So I'm going to go ahead and use their benchmarks and go forth with everything that I'm going to be doing here today. So make sure you stick to the end, because I'll give you my final thoughts there. But I just wanted to let you all know the price points up in the beginning, so that way you know what's going on there, if you decide to stay with the AM4 platform or not. So let's go over to the action screen and see what we got cooking. All right. Now, I pulled this up for Hardware Unboxed. So we're just going to look at one benchmark. We're not going to make this a long video. We're just going to make this short. So this way you got the general idea of what's going on, what's cooking, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to mute my microphone, go through this really quick, this benchmark of Spider-Man coming up. So stay tuned.
Spider-Man Remastered has been tested with ray tracing enabled, and this can hurt the performance of CPUs using DDR4 memory, as the game is very memory bandwidth heavy. Overall, the 5700X3D does very well here, though the 1% lows are noticeably lower than that of competitors.
Okay, well, the one thing that I didn't show was my face on the screen, so I hope you all forgive me for that. Oh, we ain't got that one. We ain't got that one neither. There we are. Okay, now There. Resize my face so y'all can see. All right. Looking at the benchmarks, the ones that are highlighted is the 5800X3D. He's got it at 134 on the high and he's got 97 on the low. That's the 5800X3D. Now he's got the 5700X3D, 129 on the high and 95 on the low. Okay. Really not that much difference between the two. Okay. But I'm going to bring another screen into play, which I have right here. Now, at 1080p, they got 183 on the high and 153 on the low. I'll try to cut these screens in as close as I can with you all. Let's see.
Comparable DDR5.
Let's see. Let's kind of move this back a little bit. So this way we get a better view of what's going on. My bad, everybody. I'm not the best in the world when it comes to benchmarks and stuff like that, but I do try to do my best. I'm not worried about what it's the 4K. You know, the 4K does its 4K thing because it, and I want you to see this too. Right here where it says 4K, it has 174 and 145 with the 5800X3D and the 5600X3D. I want you to see that really quick. Now with the 1440p with the 5800X3D, it's got 210 on the high and 160 on the low. But the 5600X3D has got 180 on the high and 151 on the low. Now the 1080p has got 5600X3D has 183 on the high, 153 on the low, and the 5800X3D has got 212 on the high and 165 on the low. So it looks like 1080p, they do a lot better, but not by much. Between 1080p and 1440p are really good markers. You know, 4K is not too bad with the 5600 and the 5800X3D, but going back to the fashion of what they're saying here and trying to measure and match between these two benchmarks, one that was done probably, let's say, you know, back when the 5600X3D came out, and to now, looking at the benchmarks between the 5800X3D, I am kind of baffled. I am really baffled about how the recent testing on the 5800X3D went from 212 on the high down to 134 on the high. Back then to now. That's what kind of threw me for a little tailspin. Okay, now the 5700X3D got 129 on the high and 95 on the low, but the 5600X3D has 183 on the high and 153 on the low. So in between the averages of it all, they're three great CPUs. Even though they're integrated, or, you know, they got the X3D qualities. I was about to say integrated graphics, but not integrated graphics. The X3D quality between the three, okay, they're not bad for the AM4 platform. They are really not. I mean, but if you're looking to go up higher and you think that, you know, you can do better on higher, then you probably could. You know, from what Hardware Unboxed did just on Spider-Man alone, the 7600X is not a bad CPU. They got the 14600K right below that. They got the 13600K below that. And they got the 7600 above it, the 7700, the 13700K above it. You get the X and the Ks. The 7900X you know, and you get the 7800X3D and the 7950X3D. I hear a lot of people having a problem with the 7950X3D, so I'll stay around the 7800X3D. So, looking at all this, if you're looking to go to an AM5 platform, you can go, probably do the 7600X. And if you go to look up the 7600X, you go to Amazon, and you can look up the 7600X to find out, and we'll just skip all the dramatics. We'll go to the 7600X, and you'll see that it's 6-core 12-thread processor. It's floating at $400. Let's say you can get it for $400. Yeah, and that comes with the motherboard. That's motherboard prices. You can get them with the motherboard prices right there. So you get the motherboard and the CPU. 7800X3D is $386. 7700X, you can get it for $331. You see the better deal if you go with the 7800X3D. So the 5700X is $180. So I got the 5700X. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's a great processor. I don't have a problem with it. I paid $179.99 for mine. It's $180. This is $180.59. But I get great performance off of mine as well, so I don't have nothing to complain about. So looking at all this and, thinking about, if you get a motherboard combo, you can do that. Or you can just look for the 7600X by itself, if you can find it by itself. And you got right here you got the 8600G for 6-core 12-thread for $229. Okay, I'm not even going to worry about that right now. So since we've seen all that, we can go look at the 5700X3D. 5700X3D. And that's for $250, $249, say. So, but the 5800X3D, you can see there's only a $57 difference between the two. $57 difference between the two. So, and you bring into play the 5700X, which is 8-core 16 threads, you can see the difference. So, but I can tell you this. If I were to choose a processor in AM4, would be the 5800X3D. I'm not knocking the 5700X3D. It's still right up there. It gets 10% more than the 5600X3D, I think, in performance. So these are within 10% of each other. So the 5600X3D, it's within... We already seen all what we need to see. So we'll just go back to the... Okay. This is the deal. I'm just going to give my final thoughts here. Okay. The 5600X3D gets great FPS. It gets great gameplay. 5700X3D is only 10% higher of that. Okay, 5800X3D is only within 10 to 15% higher of that. So, thinking about all this, after I was doing all my averaging and everything else and consulting with other people, this is what we all came up with and we talked about, and this is what our final solution was. Is the 5600X3D or the 5700X3D or the 5800X3D a viable choice? Well, you look at it from a price point of $300, right? So if you really want to look at the thing is, now you got a price point to look at for the AM4 series. Let's say if you want to go to the AM5 series. Let's just go back to we're going to go back to the action screen. Oh, boy. Okay, we'll go back to the action screen and we'll fuddle there really quick. All right. Now, the thing is this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the minimal. We're going to put $250 minimal. And the maximum, we're going to put $320. Okay. This way we can narrow it down and see which one's going to be the best of the best. I know we could have did it on PC Part Picker, but I wanted to narrow it down, even though that they don't know what the AM5 series is. So we'll hit it with the AMD. Well, this thing's not playing nice. Oh, we'll just go on. Screw it. Okay. Now, the 7700X is $331. Okay. Let's say you want to get 7700X for $331. Gives you 4.5 gigahertz. That's base clock. 5.4 gigahertz on the max boost clock. Unlocked. Overclocked. 80 megs of cache. DDR5 5200 support. Okay. Now, this goes from 4.5 to 5.4 on a 600 series motherboard. Okay, let's say we want to add the motherboard and the RAM, and that looks like it's a good choice right there. For what they're saying is $661.70. Okay, so that's $30 more. If you got the 5800X3D, this is $50 or $30 more than that. Okay, so the motherboard, you could probably do better. And the RAM, you probably can do better. Okay, so let's say you got this right here, the 7800X3D. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to flip to a new screen. We're going to type in Amazon. I know you guys can get it for a better price, so we're just going to do this. And we're going to do AM5 600 series. Okay. So now we're going to get into the price points of, let's say we want to do $100 minimal, and we want to do $200 max. Okay. So now what we're doing is we're fishing for a motherboard that's within our price point. Okay. Now, I'm not going to fish too hard about this because I can tell you the A620 is out of it. I am not going to recommend that whatsoever. Now, they do have the Gigabyte B650 right here that gives a 5-year warranty that comes with Type C and everything else for $109. Okay, so now all we got to do is we have to make sure of one thing. See, that's what I was afraid of. It's got a maximum storage of 64 gigs. That's what I was afraid of. Yeah. So this motherboard, I guess we're going to have to say no to it. We could get an ASRock, or we could go with the Asus TUF, but that's the 620. Or we could go with the MSI Pro 650S, but they tell you not to go with the S series. So, look, we will find the right motherboard to do this job for, with this processor. 790 Aorus, A620i. No, I don't think y'all want that. Okay, B760M. 760. That's Intel. Inland, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. Let's see if we can go another stretch. That's Intel. That's Intel. Intel. 5000 series. Oh my God, they don't have much for AMD. Let's do this. Let's go B. I always prefer the B650s. Okay, so let's change this up and go the B650 motherboards and see what we can find. Let's see. They got this Gigabyte. They got MSI. They got an MSI. Jeez. ASRock. ASRock Riptide. And they got this Gigabyte here for 109. I think we already looked at that one. I'm not really hip on ASRock. Not unless they send me the motherboard, then that's a different story. Oh, the motherboard that they recommended was like right here. This motherboard right here. It's 12 plus 2 power. I think it should be higher than that, but this does support 128 gigs of RAM. It's like my B550A motherboard that's in my computer now. This is about the same thing. The Strix. This is the B650. So, I like the way it looks. Huh? Yep. So this is the motherboard I'm going to choose. So, we do 331 and we do... Okay, calculator. So we got 331 plus 230. That's 561. Now let's see if we can find some RAM. Let's see, Amazon again. I know there's plenty other places you can get this from, but I'm just giving you, it's just the idea. Let's see, DDR5 RAM. See, they got a kit right here, Team Group. It's XMP and AMD Expo. It's 56. Look at our motherboard. And our motherboard is compatible with 6400. So we know we can go up to the 6400 range. That's a good thing. So now we know what the clock speed is, 6400. Now we can come over here and we can choose our RAM. Okay, this is Expo compatible, and it's RAM, it's black, and it's for $90. If you don't want to do RGB, you can get it for $90. Or, you know, you can look down the SKU. They got white version too that would go good for $94, $95. So this is 6,000. This might be a better one right here for $95. So let's say we get this one here for $95 and it's got RGB on it. Why not? So what we'll do is we'll add another $95. So it's $656. And you get to choose what you want far as, you know, your RAM, your motherboard, and your processor. So, and the other one was like maybe $31 more or something like that. But that's not too bad. So if now the whole point is this. If you're going to spend, and we'll go back to the main screen now. If you're going to spend $300 on a processor, right? And you might as well go up through the whole gusto and just get yourself a whole new setup. You know, the motherboard, the RAM, and the processor. You might as well just get a whole new setup. But the good thing is if you got a case like mine, and I've showed you guys the case before, you know, it's in one of my videos. I've already did the case. You can take the setup you got in there now out, and you can install the AM5 platform. So that means now your case and everything else, you're taking it up to, you know, you're looking at $656, and then you're adding $600. You got $1,200 onto it, and then you're adding another $100 for the AIO. That's $1,300, and then you got the case. That's $1,400, and then you got the fans. You got $1,436, and that'll bring it right up to close to the $1,500 mark. So you actually got a $1,500 PC if you go to upgrade to the next platform. So you're going from $1,200 to $1,500. So now you're going up to the next stage. And you're getting a great processor with a great motherboard and good amount of RAM running at 6,000 megahertz. That's perfect. I mean, at least you got a stable, it's stable and it's ready. Because all you got to do is transplant your SSDs into the new motherboard and then reconfigure everything, which is not hard. Unless you're going to do an Intel platform, then that basically means you'll end up having to start all over again and go from there. Because it's not good to mix AMD with Intel, especially when it comes to the motherboard drivers. And you could end up locking out your locking out your SSD. Not locking out, but you could lock it out from the fact of switching from one motherboard to the next if you're going from AMD to like Intel. 9 out of 10 chances all the drivers won't install correctly, and then basically you'll end up having to reinstall Windows over again. So you're best off if you're going to do something like this. I've already went from the B450 motherboard to the B550 motherboard without any hassles. Well, except for the fact of the TPM lockout that you will have if you're going from one motherboard to the next. You're best to have your screen, your login screen unlocked. Don't have it locked, because if you have it locked and you go to boot into Windows, it's going to require you to take and relog back into Microsoft to update them on the next motherboard you're moving up to. So that's one thing that I was kind of concerned about as well. Is because of the product key that I just purchased for this motherboard. Is the product key going to actually follow through with the next motherboard? Well, I don't think it will, because it's not a retail key. It's an OEM key. And it's only going to stay with this motherboard. So that's bad when you go to and get, an OEM key from these places. It's not that you're going to be, when you go to upgrade, it's not that, you can take that OEM key and go to your next motherboard, which it won't. It could if you called Microsoft and said, hey, look, I was going up to my new motherboard and I wanted to take my product key with me. They might take an exception to it and allow it and let you move up to the next, to go up to your next motherboard. But I don't know. As far as I've been hearing that, basically it doesn't look good for y'all be trying to upgrade your motherboard. If you're going to upgrade your motherboard, you're going to end up having to probably get a whole new product key. If you go with like VIP CD keys and stuff like that, they're not expensive. They're only 15 to 20 bucks. They're not expensive. So, to go up from your one motherboard to the next, it's not going to be as bad. So you'll end up spending like 15 or 20 extra dollars. But do look at it like this. You have a permanent OEM key, product key with your current motherboard, and you can always use that as a secondary system, or, sell it with the OEM key and, make back your money that you put into it. That's up to you. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. That's going to be up to you. Me, on the other hand, I was thinking that, this motherboard was going to be fine. But the thing is this. I was deciding if I wanted to take and upgrade the processor. I had that thought too. So it's kind of back and forth right now, back and forth. But I will let y'all know when I come up with that final decision, because I'm not sure if I just want to upgrade the processor for this motherboard, which I can do and save myself like $300 or $400, or go up to the next gen and spend her $300 or $400 to get up to the next gen. That's going to be, kind of back and forth. But as far as the 5700 X3D, if you're interested in it, it's only $249 on Amazon. Not a sponsor, by the way. So just to let you know that, if you decide you want to go with that processor, it's not a bad processor at all. I got the 5700X and it runs good for me. So 5700X3D could run great for you. You know, like I said, if you just want to stay on the AM4 platform and you got it all set, and you know, you want to spend that extra $250 to get yourself a new processor, then, you know, that's going to be up to you. I'm not going to twist your arm on it. I'm just going to say, from what I've seen and what I know about the 5600X3D, the 5700X3D, I'll give you 10% more. You know, at least it's clocking above higher than the 5700X, but it's staying close to the 5800X3D. So it's going to be up to you if you decide you want to go that route. I'm not going to twist your arm about it. If you want to stay on the AM4 platform, that's up to you. You can still stay on the AM4 platform. If you got a decent motherboard, you got a large amount of RAM. See, that's another thing too, why I haven't gone up there yet, because I got 64 gigs of RAM in here. You know, I know it's like overkill, but, you know, it runs great. I don't have any problems. Listen to my words. I'm running 64 gigs of RAM on this motherboard. So the motherboard is halfway maxed out because it only maxes out at 128 gigabytes of RAM. I have it halfway maxed out on RAM. You don't need it all the way, but, you know, even if you max it out all the way, you never know what kind of performance you'll get then. Maybe your motherboard will give up more performance. You never know until you test it. And I was thinking about testing it too. I really was. Because I really want to see if maxing out the motherboard with the max amount of clock speed would give this motherboard a run for its money. Probably would. But it's just a thought I had, just thinking about it. But like I said, I'm not twisting your arm about the 5700X3D. It is what it is. It's not a bad processor. I can tell you from the fact of me using the 5600X3D. And I got that 5600X3D paired up with the RX 7800 XT. I got it paired up with an AMD GPU. And it still does 1% better than my system here. And that's the 5600X3D. So if it's given 1% more performance than what I got here, I don't know. It'll probably do better for you. But anyway, I'm done rambling for today. I know y'all had to listen to me ramble and stuff like that, but I just wanted to get some of my thoughts out of there to you all and ask you all the question before we go. Should I, and you all can leave a comment down below on this, should I stick with the AM4 platform and go up to the 5800X3D? Or should I think about the 5700X3D and plug it in here? Or should I think about going up to the AM5 series and getting the 7700X and paying the $600 and some for it? Let me know what you think in the comments below on that. I'm kind of undecided right now what I want to do. If I want to spend quarter to half, or, you know, like 250, 300, or 630, let's say. I'm undecided if I want to spend that much, or, you know, I want to stay conservative, if I want to spend $300, or I want to be real conservative and spend $250 on this processor. So, but if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do. Help support the channel, watching videos from beginning to end, and telling your friends to subscribe and watch the videos from beginning to end. And if you're watching the video, please subscribe and give a thumbs up on it. Thumbs up on it. It would be appreciated. No doubt. But until the next time and the next video, this is JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next video.